I wanted to upgrade my laptop computer. I wanted to do three things. Replace the battery because it had become swollen. I wanted to upgrade the RAM. It had 8 gigabytes of RAM. I wanted to put 32 gigabytes in there. And I wanted to increase the capacity of the SSD hard drive. The little hard drive these days is about the size of a stick of gum. The battery was so large that it was splitting the casing open. I bought one on Amazon and found it was defective, so I sent it back and got another one. It was defective also. What would happen is that they wouldn't hold power long enough to even boot the computer. I had to put the old battery back in to get it to boot, and then I came across this particular screen here when it did boot. Somehow or another, its failure at booting caused it to lose the BitLocker recovery key. I'd never heard of the darn thing, but I went to YouTube and found this video that helped me to recover it. Fortunately, I was able to get into the cloud account that Microsoft made me create when I bought the laptop. Fortunately, I found a used OEM battery on eBay that worked out great. To get the data off of the old disk and onto the new disk, you use a process called cloning, and there's a lot of free software out there to do that. To connect the new disk to the computer, I had to buy a little enclosure and connect it with a USB-C cable. It's a pretty elementary process with the free software, and in the end, it gives you a bootable hard disk that you just swap out with the original, and you're back on the road. But it didn't work out that way for me. It never does. Instead, when I booted or attempted to boot from the cloned hard disk, I got this screen. I kept redoing the clone with different free software even until I realized I was trapped in an insanity loop. I thought it might be the BitLocker interfering with things, but the software claims that it returns a non-BitLockered copy of your disk. The blue screen of death says in a little message below the boot sector is inaccessible. So how do we fix that? Back to YouTube, and I found this video to be helpful in giving me some commands that I could use to try to correct that problem. Their solution was to do a series of on-off operations while the laptop was trying to boot or reboot, and that gets you to a menu of startup repair options, and from there you can choose the command prompt option, enter a series of DOS commands shown here, and the purpose of which is to fix the boot sector file. Some of the commands completed successfully, others didn't, but in the end, when I rebooted, I got the blue screen of death again. I chased the rabbit down a couple of other holes they offered that led to dead ends, then rebooted again to get back to the same options menu to try a few things over again. When I turned back around, I found myself staring at the login screen. Go figure. The only thing that went according to plan was the RAM upgrade.